Hare Krishna Sundarangi Radha Mataji for beautiful recitation. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you Mataji for giving me the opportunity. Mataji, I will do the greeting service today Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji.
You can start.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Sundarangi Mataji, please start the greeting service.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you Mataji. Hare Krishna. वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। All glories to the all assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Sundarangi Radha Devi Dasi from Canada, welcoming all of you to Bhakti Sanga Japa conference call today. Let us move to our Sri Caitanya Bhagavatam class. May I know who all have joined this mid-morning call?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is me too from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna Netu Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining every day and giving your sweet association to us. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण सुंदरंगी माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीति दासी from Charlotte. हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna Priti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you so much Mataji for joining. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Delaney, this one.
Hare Krishna Sundarangi Mataji, Dandot pranams to all devotees here. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Sumi from Jersey City.
Hare Krishna Sumi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call every day. Welcome to the call Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. This is Vrajpriya Devi Dasi from Chicago and very grateful to your services all to Bhakti Sanga. And thank you for recitation of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Very beautifully.
Hare Krishna Yasumati Priya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you so much Mataji for giving me the opportunity to serve. And even though I do lot of mistakes, you are so kind and I am praying that I will improve Mataji. So for the
Mataji, you are
pleasure,
doing so good.
please bless me Mataji and pray for me so that I can do some seva to the devotees and the Lord. Thank you Mataji. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Sundari Radha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai, and all the assembled devotees. Thank you for the beautiful Bhagavad Gita recitation. This is Shivani from Ashwin, Virginia.
Hare Krishna Sibani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you so much Mataji for joining the call. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam. So glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharajas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirti Dasundri Dasi and thank you so much Sushmita Sundarangi Radha Devi Mataji for your beautiful recitation of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Kirtida Sundari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you so much Mataji for giving me the opportunity. And thank you Mataji for all your services. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. I can see Mataji is here. So Mataji, shall I start?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. I am all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to Bhakti Sanga Japa conference call. Today we are so fortunate to have Her Grace Cinmayi Mataji to enlighten us on the topic of Sri Caitanya Bhagavata Madhya Khanda 19 number chapter and text 195 to 206. Before handovering the call to Mataji, I would like to read Srila Prabhupada's quote of the day. Okay, Hare Krishna. Today is 8th January. Retirement means to become cured from the diseased activities, but to place yourself in healthy activities. That is Krishna consciousness. Los Angeles, January 8, 1969. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Cinmayi Vrajpriya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So good to see you. Mataji, we are eagerly waiting to hear from you. Thank you so much for your association and this valuable time with us, Mataji. Whenever ready, please take over the call. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji, we cannot hear you, Mataji.
Sorry, Mataji. Sorry. Thank you, Sundarangi Mataji, for welcoming so nicely. Thank you, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, for giving this opportunity. You know I don't deserve it, but still you shower your mercy on me. So thank you so much. Thank you, Preeti Lasni Mataji. Thank you, Indulika Mataji. Thank you, everyone in Bhakti Sangha. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. My dandavats to all the assembled Vaishnavas here. Please bless me that I speak everything according to Srila Prabhupada's and Srila Gurudev's instructions. No words should come from my mental concoction. So this blessing is very important to me for my spiritual progress. So please, I request all of you to bless me. Let's start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanaatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine
निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकम् भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दं माधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं हरिः ओम्. Hare Krishna Mataji. So we are in this beautiful chapter, the Lord's pastimes in Advaita's house. So we saw how Advaita Charya decides to trick Mahaprabhu and get his mercy and make him treat Advaita Charya as a servant. Because Advaita Charya always feels that Mahaprabhu is giving him respect and treating him as an elder. So he devises a scheme. He goes to Shantipur and he starts preaching Mayavad theory as Yoga Vishishta. And Mahaprabhu, being the Paramatma in everybody, he comes to understand that and he wants to take part in this pastime which Advaita Acharya has created. So he, along with his very dear Nityananda Prabhu, both the brothers, they start traveling to Shantipur. And on the way, Mahaprabhu has various pastimes and he comes to Shantipur. And we see how he sees Advaitacharya, and Advaitacharya knows that Mahaprabhu is coming, so very, very with more emphasis, he's teaching Mayavad theory to his disciples. There he's saying Jnana is more important, only when Jnana is there, Bhakti is there, and all those things. And Mahaprabhu comes and he hears Advaitacharya saying this, so he grabs him by the hair and beats him with his lotus hands. And he says, tell me, Advaita, what is more important? Is it Bhakti or Jnana? And Advaitacharya says, Jnana is more important. And Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, they all know what's happening and they are like laughing at this. And Mahaprabhu at that time reveals himself. He says, oh, I was sleeping in the ocean of milk and you, Advaita, by your prayers, you brought me down so that I can bestow devotional service to everybody. And what are you doing? And then he says, I was the one who killed Kamsa. And he reveals himself with so many things. And after hearing all these, Advaita Charya is in ecstasy. He dances in ecstasy. And he looks at Mahaprabhu and in a teasing way asks him, okay, now where is your respect gone? You would treat me with so much respect. And once I started teaching Mayavad, you are there beating me. So now where has that respect gone? And he says, I am not Durvasa Muni to give my remnants to you. And I am not Bhrigu Muni to put my feet on your chest. I am just your eternal servant and that is all I want to be. So when Advaita Acharya says this, Mahaprabhu feels very happy, very happy. And he says, oh Advaita Acharya, listen now, I am going to give you I'm going to bestow a benediction on you. Whoever is your servant, let them be anybody, ant, animal, beast, anybody. If they have taken shelter of your lotus feet, even if they commit hundreds of offenses towards me, I will bestow mercy on them. So hearing this, Advaita Acharya grasps Mahaprabhu's lotus feet and he says, whatever you say comes true, but then please listen to me. And then Advaita Acharya reveals profound philosophy on which our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is based. And then we saw how on Monday and Tuesday, Advaita Acharya is talking. In Monday's class, we saw how Prabhuji was saying by Advaita Acharya, what he's saying is, if somebody respects him and does not give the right respect to Mahaprabhu, that is an offense. So Prabhuji was explaining how we have to worship the Panchattva, how we have to see the Panchattva in their respective positions, and we have to take shelter of each one of them in the right way. So, and then Prabhuji also talked about the Apasampradayas and how we should understand the Apasampradayas. If this could happen to Advaita Acharya's own children, so where are we? So that should be our stand, and we should be very wary of how our bhakti should proceed. And then yesterday's class, we saw the beautiful story of Sudakshina and how he worshipped, he took shelter of a glorious devotee of Krishna, the topmost Vaishnava, Lord Shiva, but he ignored Lord Krishna and what happened to him. And today we'll see what more Advaita Acharya has got to give us as instructions. The text 195 we start. Tumi mora prananatha, tumi mora dhana, tumi mora pita mata, tumi bandhu jana. You are the Lord of my life. You are my wealth. You are my father and mother, and you are my dear friend. There is a commentary by Prabhupada Saraswati. He says, many people wrongly consider Sri Gaurasundara in the position of an ordinary mother, ordinary father, ordinary friend, or similar ordinary relationship. But Advaita Prabhu considered Gaurasundara completely transcendental to all worldly designations and established him as the transcendental father, mother, wealth, and beloved. Material relationships are based on the platform of unpalatable material enjoyment. There is no tinge of service attitude in them. The Prakriti Sahaji as mood as lover, the prosperous Prakriti Sahaji as wealth, and the Prakriti Sahaji as relationships as friend, father, mother, and son are all situated in the atmosphere of material enjoyment. To become free from material enjoyment, they take shelter of voidism in the atmosphere of renunciation and thus become impersonalists. But those who realize that all objects of this material world are related to Lord Vishnu can eternally remain aloof from the spirit of enjoyment and sensual knowledge. In Vaishnava philosophy, there is no spirit of material enjoyment and there is no concept that visible objects are enjoyable. Rather than the attitude of enjoyment, the attitude of service is prominent. So basically in this purport, Srila Prabhupada Saraswati is touching three topics. First, he says, our Gaurasundara is the transcendental mother, father, wealth, everything, and beloved. So our Narottam Das Thakura, in his one of his compositions, he says, Dhana Mora Nityananda, Pati Mora Gaura Chandra, Prana Mora Jugala Kishora. So when we say this, when we sing the song, through Prabhupada Saraswati's purport, we can understand how our mood should be when we sing the song. So when it is said, Dhana Mora Nityananda, what exactly is the wealth which is Nityananda Prabhu? It is not our material wealth. It is not any of this. It is that transcendental Adi Guru. He is there bestowing my wealth. And then my eternal master is Gaurasundara. And of course, my life air itself is the Jugala Kishora. So we have to understand that transcendental position of the Supreme Lord. And the second topic which Prabhupada Saraswati addresses here is about the Prakriti Sahajiyas. So these are the pseudo-Vaishnavas, one of the 13 Apasampradayas who emerged. And they all came around 250 years after the disappearance of the Goswamis. And Prakrita Sahajiyas means, Prabhupada says, they are the people who take things very easily. So when they see our the pastimes of our Sri Radha Krishna, they mistake it to be on a very mundane material platform. And that's why Prabhupada Saraswati puts here, like they see all their relationships in the atmosphere of material enjoyment. And then over a time, to become free from this material enjoyment, what do they take shelter of? They take shelter of voidism. So in that spectrum, one end is material enjoyment and the other end is voidism and impersonalism. So there is that drastic swing from enjoying the senses to voidism, where there is restraining the senses. And this restraining of senses is done artificially in a very voluntary way, and that is not the right way. What Mahaprabhu preaches is Yukta Vairagya, and that is what our Prabhupada Saraswati is saying towards the end of the purport. Yukta Vairagya is, according to Srila Rupa Goswami, anasaktasya vishaya yatarham upayunjataha nirbandhaha Krishna sambandhe Yukta Vairagyam uchyate. So when one is not attached to anything, but at the same time, he accepts everything in relation to Krishna. So he accepts all the material things in relation to Krishna. He wants to use all the material objects in the service of Krishna. And he sees everything in the mundane world in relation to Krishna. Then he is situated rightly. He is above possessiveness. So this is what Prabhupada Saraswati is explaining in this. We move on. ये तोरे लंघिया करे मोरे नमस्कारा से सन से जना कटिया शिरा करे प्रतिकारा. One who transgresses you and offers me obeisances is cutting off the head of his worshipable Lord and then trying to remedy the situation. The service and superficial rejection of false ego, displayed by the conditioned souls who are covered by the three modes of nature and who consider themselves the enjoyers and doers of all activities, are simply insults to the worshipable Lord. So, the conditioned souls, we are completely covered by the three modes of nature. But then when we exhibit service and the superficial rejection of false ego, then Prabhupada Saraswati says it is simply an insult. When we exhibit service and we do not do service from the core of our heart, it is simply an insult to the worshipable Lord. Darshana without service is simply an exhibition of aversion to the service of Hari by living entities inclined towards material enjoyment. Such strong words are here. So Prabhupada Saraswati is saying, we just take darshan of the Supreme Lord without rendering service as instructed by Sri Guru, as instructed by Srila Prabhupada, then we are just exhibiting an aversion to the service of Hari. And there is a lot of inclination towards material enjoyment. And the next sentence is so very strong. Therefore, the show of devotion offered to one's material father, mother, friend, or lover is simply improper behavior intended to convert the worshipable object into servant. I had to read this sentence 3 times or 4 times to even understand. And I hope my understanding is correct. I forgot to check this with Caitanya Mataji. I checked many other things. So if it is wrong, Mataji, please correct me. What I'm understanding here is, if we are on a mundane platform and we are not keeping Krishna in the center, then whatever love and devotion we show to our loved ones, as father, mother, friend, our spouse, whatever, it is simply an improper behavior, and the internal attitude here is to make them our servant. So how I understood this is, there are so many expectations in every relationship. So when there is expectation, we are expecting them to serve us also. So that expectation is what Prabhupada Saraswati is saying is wrong. We have to just serve our material relationships, keeping Krishna in the center, seeing them as part and parcel of Krishna. And this is the responsibility given by Krishna to me to serve them and help them in their spiritual life. Other than that, if I serve them with expectations of they taking care of me or they serving me, he says that is a improper behavior. And here the real motive becomes to just make them our servant. The external show of service without the actual inclination for service is like severing the head of one's worshipable object. In other words, it is meant to lord it over one's worshipable object. So this is Prabhupada Saraswati's purport for this verse, where Advaita Acharya says, one who transgresses you and offers me obeisances is actually cutting off the head of his worshipable Lord and then trying to remedy the situation. So we will move on, where now it becomes a little lighter. Today's verses are a mixture of philosophy and pastimes. So please bear with me. Now, Advaita Charya quotes certain pastimes where he gives examples for what he's saying. He says, Suryera sakshatkari raja satrajita bhakti vase surya taha haila vidita. Being pleased by the devotion of King Satrajit, the sun god directly appeared before him. लांघिया तुम्हारा आज्ञा आज्ञा भंगा दुखे दुई भाई मारे याया surya dekhe dekhe. Yet, because of the offense of transgressing your order, he and his brother were killed. The sun god saw this with satisfaction. So here, our Advaita Charya is quoting the example of the pastime of Satrajit. So we all know this pastime, but I thought I will just say it in a concise way for us to recall and try to understand what Advaita Acharya is actually instructing us here. So Satrajit was a king in the province of, within the jurisdiction of Dwarkadha. He was a king and he was a very great devotee of sun god. And he used to worship sun god with so much of devotion that sun god became very happy with him. And our Surya Narayana offered him a Shamantaka jewel. So this Shamantaka jewel was so effulgent, and it had a lot of great qualities. It could produce around 170 pounds of gold every day. Srila Prabhupada says in his Krishna book. And wherever this Shamantaka jewel was being worshipped, there would be no famine, no calamities, no natural disasters, nothing. And people would be very happy in that part of the world. So Satrajit got this Shamantaka jewel as a blessing from sun god. And he wore this jewel and he entered the Dwarka city one day. So seeing him, all our Yadavas, they thought that sun god himself is coming to their city. And they were very used to demigods coming and visiting our Lord Krishna every now and then. So when Satrajit came wearing that Samataka jewel, there was so much of effulgence, they mistook it as sun god. And they ran to say this to Krishna. And so Prabhupada says how nicely these Yadavas would address Krishna. They would call him Govinda, they would call him Damodara, then they would call him Yadunandana, out of that intense affection that he is here among us. And they knew that he is the one who is protecting the entire universe and he is here with us now. So they would address him fondly in these ways. And they told him that sun god is coming to visit him. But Krishna just gives a smile because he knows what's going to happen. And so this Satrajit, instead of going and seeing Krishna, he instead brought this Shamataka jewel to a temple, and he appointed some Brahmanas to take care of this, to worship this Shamataka jewel. So here Prabhupada says, this is an example of a less intelligent person worshipping a material thing. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that the less intelligent person, in order to get immediate results from their fruitive activities, worship the demigods created within this universe. So he wanted the Shamataka jewel for himself. Now, Krishna, when he comes to know of this, he goes and he talks to Satyajit. He tells him how King Ugrasena is the king of the entire jurisdiction. All the dynasties, Ugrasena is the king, and how this jewel should be given to Ugrasena so that Ugrasena can take care of the citizens very well. But Satyajit does not listen to Krishna, does not follow the instructions. He says, no, I'm going to keep this jewel for myself. And then Krishna just leaves him there. And now to move on with the pastime, Satyajit had a brother by name Prasena. And this Prasena, just to exhibit the family opulence which they have, that, oh, we have Shamataka jewel. What he did, he put this jewel on his neck and he went to the forest. And there a lion attacked him, killed him, and took the jewel for himself. And then Jambavan, who was also in the forest. Now, Jambavan is the gorilla king, and he was a very, very great, he's a very great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. And Jambavan is known for his superhuman strength. Now, Jambavan came and killed the lion with his bare hands and took the jewel. Now, Jambavan was not so much interested in the value of the jewel. So what he did, he came to his home and he gave this jewel to his son, his little child, who was to just use this jewel as a toy. Now, back here in Dwarka, Satyajit's family is expecting for Prasena's return, and this is not happening, and they're all very worried. And immediately Satyajit blames our Lord Krishna. He says, oh, he was the one who wanted the Shamataka jewel, so I think he's done something to my brother, he's caused him some harm, and he has taken the jewel for himself. And this rumor spread like wildfire all over. Now, Krishna was defamed. And Lord Krishna did not want to be defamed. Who can defame the Supreme Lord? But this is just a pastime. And Krishna wanted to clear off that name. So he takes a group of Yadus with him and he says, I will clear my name. I will trace the Shamataka jewel back and get it here. And they all go to the forest. So they first see Prasena dead, then they see the lion dead, and then they understand that it was the activities of Jambavan, and they go to deeper into the forest near Jambavan's place of residence. And there was a tunnel which was a path to Jambavan's house. So Krishna, he asks all the Yadus to wait at the entrance of the tunnel, and he says, I'm going to go inside the tunnel, speak to Jambavan, get the jewel, and we'll all go back. So all these Yadavas, they wait out, and our Lord Krishna comes inside the house. And he sees that this little boy is playing with the jewel. And he just looks. At that time, the nurse who is taking care of the little boy, she gets very scared seeing Lord Krishna, and she screams. And hearing these cries, Jambavan comes out very angry. So let me read here what Prabhupada has to say. 1 second, sorry. So Jambavan was actually a great devotee of Lord Krishna. But because he was angry, he could not recognize his master and thought him to be an ordinary man. This brings to mind the statement of Bhagavad Gita in which the Lord advises Arjuna to get free from anger, greed, and lust in order to rise to the spiritual platform. So Prabhupada calls these three, anger, greed, and lust, the three gateways of hell. So even such a great devotee, when covered by anger, he could lose his spiritual intelligence. And he forgot to recognize his own master. And thinking him to be an ordinary man, he starts fighting with Krishna. He challenges Krishna and starts fighting. They fight for almost 28 days. And they fight with weapons, they fight with stones, they fight with big trees, then they fight hand to hand, and then they start hitting each other with fists. And each blow was like a thunderbolt. And this way they went on fighting both during day and night for 28 days. So Jambava knew he was the strongest living entity at that time. But he lost all his strength. All his bodily strength was practically reduced to zero, and he became completely tired. At that time, he realized who this exalted personality was, who was just beating him and sucking the strength out of him. And then he understood that this is his own worshipable master. And he immediately begs forgiveness from Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is such a merciful father. He takes his lotus hands and rubs over Jambavan, where all Jambavan's pain was. And with this merciful movement, Jambavan became totally free of all the pain, and he begs forgiveness, and he immediately gives the jewel back to Krishna. When Krishna narrates the whole story to Jambavan, he gives the jewel, and he also gives his daughter Jambavati to Krishna. Now the Yadavas who were waiting at this end of the tunnel, they waited for 12 days, and then, not knowing what happened to Krishna, in acute distress, they all went back to Dwarka. And they were all in acute agony. They were so anxious as to what will happen now. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And then they suddenly find Krishna comes along with his queen Jambavati, and there is a huge celebration. And then Ugrasena arranges a meeting where even Satyajit comes, and Lord Krishna tells the entire story of how Prasena was killed, and he hands over the Shamataka jewel to Satyajit. Now Satyajit gives the jewel and his daughter Satyabhama back to Krishna. But Krishna accepts his daughter Satyabhama, but he knows deep inside the heart Satyajit wants to keep this jewel with him. So he gives back the jewel and he says to Satyajit, and Satyajit takes it. And then, to make a very long story short, in the next chapter, we see how Satadhanva, who was one of the prospective grooms for Satyabhama, he wants to take revenge on Satyajit, and he plans to steal Shamantakamani, and he takes the help of Akrura and Kritavarma for it. Now, Akrura and Kritavarma are great devotees, but Prabhupada says Akrura was cursed by the Vrindavan Vasis when he took Krishna away from them. So he had to go through this, and Kritavarma, because of his bad association with Kamsa, had to go through this. So they help Shatadhanva, who goes and kills Shatrajit and takes the jewel. So this is how our Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying, both the brothers were killed because of transgressing your order. And the sun god who gave the benediction of giving Shamataka jewel to them was actually very satisfied with this pastime. Baladeva Shishyatva Paya Duryodhana Tomare Langhiya Paya Savamshe Marana. Although Duryodhana was a disciple of Baladeva, he and his family members were killed because he disregarded you. So, I don't know, surprisingly, this Duryodhana accepting Baladeva is a continuation of this Duryodhana accepting Baladeva as his master in teaching the fighting arts was a continuation of this pastime, where Shatadhanva, after killing Satyajit, escapes Dwarka and he flees. And Krishna and Balarama, who were in Hastinapur, get to know about this, and they decide to take revenge on Shatadhanva. So they go in search of him, and they find him in the city of Mithila. And Lord Krishna kills Shatadhanva then, but he does not find the Samantaka jewel in him. So at that time, Krishna decides to come back to Dwarka in search of the Shamataka jewel, but our Balabhadra decides to stay back in Mithila for some time. And it is at this time that our Duryodhana, he decides to take advantage of Baladeva staying in Mithila, and he comes and learns the art of fighting club with him. So Baladeva is Adi Guru. He could have imparted any kind of knowledge to Duryodhana, but foolish Duryodhana chose to learn just the art of fighting, and so Baladeva gave him only that. But in spite of being a disciple of Baladeva, Duryodhana did not pay any respect to Krishna, and the result was he and his whole family was vanquished. हिरण्यकशिपुवर पाइय ब्रह्मरा लंघिया तो मारे गेला सवंशे samhara. Hiranyakashipu received benediction from Brahma, yet he and his family members were killed when he disregarded you. So we know how Hiranyakashipu asks for immortality from Brahma. Brahmaji says, I myself have a lifespan, so what can I give immortality to you? And then Hiranyakashipu asks for so many boons, which are also given. But still, our Lord Narsimhadeva comes in that Ati Adbhuta Rupam, na Mragam, na Manusham, and takes care of it. Shiras Chedi Shiva Pujiya Oe Das Dashanana Toma Langhi Pai Leka Savamshe Marana. The 10-headed Ravana who took pleasure in cutting off others' heads worshipped Shiva, yet he was nevertheless killed along with his family members when he disregarded you. So we know how Lord Ramachandra killed not just Ravana, the whole dynasty, just to teach people that aggressors should be killed. But then, even after killing Ravana, our Supreme Lord shows so much of mercy that Ravana was on the sure short path to hell. But he shows so much of mercy to Ravana that he calls Vibhishan, asks him to perform the last funeral rites for Ravana, by which he checks his path to hell. So that is our Supreme Lord. सर्वदेव मूल तुम्ही सबार ईश्वरा दृश्य दृश्य यत सब तुम्हारा किंकरा प्रभु रे लंघिया ये दासेरा भक्ति करे पूजा खाई से दासा ताहारे संहारे. You are the origin of all demigods and the controller of everyone. All living entities, seen and unseen, are your servants. O Lord, if one disregards you and devotedly makes offerings to your servant, that servant accepts the offerings and kills the worshipper. This again is a very deep purport. We'll read it and try to understand it. O Vishwambhara Caitanya Deva, you are the original source of all demigods. You are the supreme controller of all controllers. You are the object of love. The living entities of all manifested and unmanifested worlds act as your servants by engaging in various activities under your authority. Okay, so here Prabhupada Saraswati is saying how the Supreme Lord is the controller of all the controllers and he is the object of love. And the living entities of all manifested, unmanifested worlds, everybody they are all servants to Krishna. Some of your servants appear before living entities who are averse to the service of Hari as objects of their sensual knowledge and become similar to fuel for their sense gratification. So here, what Prabhupada Saraswati is saying is, some of the servants of Gaurasundara, they are mistaken by some living entities who are averse to serving Hari as objects of their sense gratification. Those greedy, ignorant people averse to the service of Hari do not display any attitude of service to the Supreme Lord and are convinced that aversion to Hari is completely justified. Those servants misguide such people by teaching them to disrespect you, while you are in fact the supreme worshipable object for all manifested and unmanifested objects driven by external perception. Such qualified servants of the Supreme Lord collect the ingredients for satisfying their own senses from their respective deceitful worshippers and make those worshippers more averse to the service of Krishna. So here, this is such a deep thing which Prabhupada Saraswati is saying. He's saying some servants of Krishna, they come, and when they see that certain living entities are so averse to Hari, and instead they are worshipping them, the servants of Krishna, as a very great worshipable object, they do not like it. But then they see the aversion to Hari is so much in them that they cannot bring them back to the right path. Then what do? They convert them more and more. They strengthen more and more of their belief, and they make them more and more averse to Sri Hari. Those worshippers' lusty external conceptions, born of sensual knowledge, destroy them by increasing their false sense of domination. So, one such servant of our Supreme Lord who misguided the living entities who are averse to Hari is our Shankaracharya. So the foremost example we can think of is Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya is none other than Lord Shiva himself, but then he came and he propounded this Mayavad theory, and which caused a lot of confusion and which pulled people away from Krishna, and there were lots of wrong conceptions there. In Padma Purana, this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, 7th chapter, where Mahaprabhu is talking to Prakashananda Saraswati, who is a Mayavad sannyasi. So he is he is talking about how Mayavad is wrong. Mayavad philosophy is wrong. And in one such purports, Prabhupada writes, in Padma Purana, Lord Shiva tells his wife Parvati, the Mayavad philosophy is impious, asat shastra, covered by Buddhism. In Kali Yuga, I assume the form of a Brahmana and teach this imagined philosophy. In order to teach the atheists, I describe the Lord as without form and without qualities. In explaining Vedantas, I describe the same Mayavad philosophy in order to mislead the entire population by denying the personal form of the Lord. So Shiva himself is telling Mother Parvati that he will come and how he will start this Mayavad theory and mislead the entire population. And again in Shiva Purana also, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he tells Lord Shiva in Kali Yuga, mislead the people in general by propounding imaginary meanings for the Vedas to bewilder them. So actually, Kali Yuga itself is a yuga of quarrel, confusion, hypocrisy. We are all manda sumanda matayo manda bhagyahi upadhritaha. And to top it off, our Supreme Lord has given such instructions to Lord Shiva to come and bewilder us more. So, and the translation of 114th verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela chapter 7 is Shankaracharya. This is Mahaprabhu himself saying this to Prakashananda Saraswati. Shankaracharya, who is an incarnation of Lord Shiva, is faultless because he is a servant carrying out the orders of the Lord. But those who follow his Mayavad philosophy are doomed. They will lose all their advancement in spiritual knowledge. Now, Lord Shiva himself is a Mahajan. He is just following the orders. But then that philosophy is completely wrong and we should not follow it. And in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, again, Prabhupada writes, how in Padma Purana, Lord Shiva personally tells Parvati Devi, I teach Mayavad to those engrossed in the mode of ignorance. But if a person in the mode of goodness happens to hear it, he falls down. And in Krishna book, while reading the Satrajit pastime itself, Prabhupada has written this. Everything which has a form in the material world is subjected to creation, maintenance, and destruction. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not have a material form, and is not subjected to these limitations, Shankaracharya, to convince the less intelligent who mistake Krishna to be an ordinary human being, said that God is impersonal. Okay, because there were less intelligent people, as the Lord himself says, I am teaching this philosophy for the people in the mode of ignorance who are very less intelligent, and he's telling them that God is impersonal. And today, Srila Gurudev in his class, he was telling how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was one such very big Mayavad scholar. He had a huge group of disciples who were following him, and he was teaching Mayavad philosophy to the point that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya comes and preaches our Mahaprabhu. He says, I am going to preach Vedanta to you. But Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, converted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to a topmost devotee. That Mahaprabhu was, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was with Mahaprabhu all the time in all the Jagannath Puri pastimes. Even the Navadvipvasis would come and go, but they would stay with Mahaprabhu during the Chaturmasya. But our Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was there all the time with Mahaprabhu. That topmost mercy was given to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was a Mayavad scholar. But then jivas like me should not follow Mayavad theory, because as Mahaprabhu himself says, we will lose all our advancement in spiritual knowledge. Whatever little advancement I'm making will go away. And actually, Maya has two potencies by which she acts. One is Prakshepatmika Shakti and the other is the Avaranatmika Shakti. So Prakshepatmika Shakti is the power to throw the jivas in the material world. And Avaranatmika Shakti is the one which covers these jivas with, from the actual knowledge. What is the actual knowledge? Jivera Swarupa Hoye Krishnera Nitya Das. We are eternal servants of Krishna. That knowledge gets covered. So Prabhupada calls these people Mayaya Apahrita Jnana, whose intelligence is stolen by Maya. And when does who are the people whom Maya chooses to steal the intelligence? They are people who are Asuram Bhavam Ashritaha, who deny the existence of the Supreme God. So more and more the devotees of Krishna will take these people away from Krishna by doing these teachings or covering them this way. And so in Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter also, the Lord himself says, those who are envious and mischievous, the lowest among men, I perpetually cast them into the ocean of material existence, into various demonic species. And attaining repeated birth in demonic species, such persons can never approach me, and they sink down to the most abominable existence. So, this is how the servants sometimes misguide jivas who are averse to Hari. Tomare langhiya ye shivadi deva bhaje vriksha mula kati yena pallavere pujay. Worshipping the demigods headed by Shiva while disregarding you is like watering the leaves of a tree and after cutting its root. So here Prabhupada Saraswati talks how people worship demigods, but they disrespect Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Then it is like watering the leaves of a tree, but cutting off the root. So here Prabhupada Saraswati, I'll not read the whole purport, I'll just pick a few sentences. Those who in the course of analyzing the signs of the energetic Lord, which establishes the temporary nature of Vishnu's partial manifestation, this material world, give up the service of Vishnu and worship the demigods headed by Shiva, who are in contact with matter and who belong to the external energy of Vishnu, do nothing more than uproot the tree while serving its leaves and branches. In this regard, one should discuss the words beginning, Yatha taror mula nishechanena, as well as the verses of Brahma Samhita. So this verse which Srila Prabhupada Saraswati is quoting is from Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, I'm sorry, 4th canto, 31st chapter, which is Narada instructs the Prachetas, where the verse is, Yatha taror mula nishechanena tripyanti tat skandha bhujopa shakaha प्राणोपहाराच्च यथेन्द्रियाणां तथैव सर्वार्हणम् achyutejya. As pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. So here, I'll read a few sentences from purport. This is a beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes people ask why this Krishna consciousness movement simply advocates worship of Krishna to the exclusion of demigods. The answer is given in this verse. The example of pouring water on the root of a tree is very appropriate. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakham. This cosmic manifestation has expanded downward, and the root is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Krishna is the root of everything. Therefore, rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Seva, means automatically serving all the demigods. Modern society is involved in various types of philanthropic works, humanitarian works, and so on. But people do not know that these activities will never be successful unless Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is brought into the center. The point is that by supplying food to the stomach, the indriyas, the senses, are automatically satisfied. If one tries to feed the eyes or ears independently, the result is only havoc. Simply by supplying food to the stomach, we satisfy all the senses. It is neither necessary nor feasible to render separate service to all the individual senses. The conclusion is that by serving Krishna, everything is complete. And this is also confirmed in Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 2262. It says, Krishne bhakti kaile sarva karma kritya haya. One is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is automatically accomplished. So, we have to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but we have to take the shelter of we have to take the shelter of Panchattattvas, and it has to happen through our spiritual master, through the Guru Varga. And Prabhupada Saraswati is also quoting certain verses from Brahma Samhita here. I'll just read one verse and I will read the translations just to show. Prabhupada Saraswati is saying we have to know the position of the demigods here. So these are the verses from Brahma Samhita. It says, Golokanamni nijadhamni tale chatasya devi mahesha haridhama suteshu teshu te te prabhava nichaya vihitascha yena govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So the lowest of all, this is the description of the material world and the spiritual world. So the lowest is the Devi Dham, next is the Mahesh Dham, and above that is the Hari Dham. And above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Goloka. And I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Bibharti Durga Ichhanurupamapi Yasya Chacheshtate Sa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So now the position of Durga. The external potency Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit potency. So Durga is the shadow of Chit potency. She is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving, and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. And now about Lord Shiva. We all know this verse. Kshiram yatha dadi vikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nahi tatah pritagasti heto yah sambhutamapi tatha samupaiti karyat govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither same as nor different from its cause, milk, so I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. So similarly about Brahma, our Brahmaji himself says, I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom the separated subjective portion Brahma receives his power for the regulation of the mundane world, just as the sun manifests some portion of his own light in all the effulgent gems. And then about our Lord Ganesha, I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha upon the pair of the tumuli protruding from his elephant head in order to obtain power for his function of destroying all the obstacles. And regarding our sun god, who was also mentioned in today's verses, the sun who is the king of all planets, full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as the eye of this world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey, mounting the wheel of time. Moving on to the next verse. Veda vipra yajna dharma sarva moola tumi yeto mana bhaje tara puja nahiyami. You are the root of the Vedas, Brahmanas, sacrifice and religious principle. I do not accept the worship of one who does not worship you. So here Advaita Acharya is saying, if somebody approaches Advaita Acharya and offers worship to him, but they have no taste for Krishna Prema, for that Krishna Prema which is rarely achieved and which is taught by Chaitanya Deva alone, then, or by those who could not fully surrender themselves at the feet of Chaitanya, then Advaita Acharya will never accept worship from such people. So, and then in this purport, Srila Prabhupada Saraswati talks about karma khandis, people who follow the portion of the karma khanda of Vedas. And he says, because of they following these karma khandic rituals, they may get certain external conceptions, which may make them rivals with Buddhists, which may engage them in the battles of demons also. But because they are doing these things, we cannot think they are the right path. They are Vaishnavas. No, they may also be encouraged to praise their respective performance of sacrifice, but then all these things will induce them to forget the Supreme Lord. So if they are averse to Supreme Lord and they follow the karmakandic activities, then there is no scope for them. They will remain performing those karmakandic activities and they will keep roaming in the cycle. They will go up and they'll keep coming down again and again. And here, Prabhupada Saraswati, I'll read the last part. He says here, how Advaita Acharya says, you are the original source and shelter of all objects, the cause of the external conceptions of all temporary objects. I will never consider materialistic people predominantly engaged with pride in activities that are neglectful of you as my own, because they are offenders at the feet of Vishnu and Vaishnavas. So when Advaita Acharya says this, Gaura Sundara became pleased as he heard Advaita Prabhu's irrefutable glorification of the absolute truth. And when he heard Advaita Prabhu explain the purport of the absolute truth described in the verse Vadanti Tat Tattva Vida, Sri Chaitanya Deva regarded Mahavishnu Advaita Prabhu as the Acharya of Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. So, what is this Vadanti Tat Tattva Vida? So, the verse is Vadanti Tat Tattva Vidas Tattvam Yajnanam Advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdyate. The learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. So, in this verse, our Srila Prabhupada has explained it so beautifully. He says, absolute truth realization, we all know, can happen in 3 stages. The first stage is the impersonal Brahman realization. And this is done by the students of Upanishads. Then the second realization is the realization of the localized Paramatma. This is done by the mystics. And the third realization, which is the complete realization, is done by the devotees, and that is the realization of the Bhagavan feature, who possesses these 2 features, who possesses the Paramatma feature and who possesses the Brahman feature. So Paramatma is just a expansion of the plenary portion, present everywhere. And then the Brahman feature is the glowing effulgence of the Supreme Lord's body. And so Prabhupada writes, here the less intelligent students of either of the above schools may argue in favor of their own realization, but perfect seers of the absolute truth know well that the 3 features of the one absolute truth are different perspective views. So the topmost realization, the complete realization is Bhagavan, and Paramatma and Brahman features are the initial stages of the absolute truth realization. And regarding the Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva, which Prabhupada Saraswati is quoting here, is the philosophy which Mahaprabhu has given us. This is the philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So this is the inconceivable philosophy of the simultaneous oneness, and yet there is difference between the Supreme Lord and all his energies. This is, as the philosophy itself says, it's achintya, it's inconceivable, it's not easily understandable. But Srila Prabhupada gives certain examples by which we can easily understand this, how everything in the Lord's creation is a part and parcel of him, and it is and all his energies are similar qualitatively but not quantitatively. Quantitatively they are different. So the examples which Prabhupada gives are we take a drop of the ocean water. The salt found in this drop of ocean water will have the same qualities as the salt which is present in the entire ocean. Will have the same qualities, but the quantity is different. The quantity of salt present in a drop of ocean water is very less compared to the quantity of salt which is present in the ocean. This is a pinch, that is huge mounds and mounds of salt can come. So similarly, jivas are infinitesimal, whereas the Supreme Lord is infinite. So other examples are, we can take a gold ornament, the quality of gold present in the gold ornament and the quality of gold present in the gold mine are same, but the quantity is way different. And this is Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. And the last verse for today, Mahatattva Advaitera Shuniya Vachana Hunkara Kariya Bale Shri Sachinandana. When Shri Sachinandana heard Advaita's explanation of the absolute truth, he roared loudly and spoke. What he spoke, we'll learn tomorrow. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Matajis and Prabhujis, please share your realizations and please correct all my mistakes. This was a difficult topic for me, so I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes. Please correct. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, no mistakes at all. It was a wonderful class, and I really like the way you covered each and every pastime. And you brought forward that without keeping Krishna in the center, our life is useless. No matter how much we excel, but still, if Krishna is not in the center, it's all useless. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you. And thank you for narrating that entire pastime of Samantaka Jewel. It's very dear to my heart.
You had covered it, right, Mataji, when we were doing Krishna book series.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranama, glories to your services. Wonderful session.
Thank you so much, Mataji, and thank you for helping me understand the purports. They are such, our Srila Prabhupada's purports have simple English. Prabhupada Saraswati's purports are so complex, and thank you for making me understand them, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Oh, Mataji, what I did. You only explained me, I just said yes, yes, yes.
No, no. No, I was so unsure of what he was saying. So thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for the wonderful, wonderful class, Mataji. Thank you for all the pastimes and for all the references, Mataji. Thank you for the beautiful pastimes, Samantaka Jewels, and how, and you explained, and you also today's topic you correlate with Guru Maharaj's class, today's class also. It was so nice. Thank you for doing that Bani Seva, Mataji. So nice how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya he explained everything to Lord Chaitanya. Then he said, I understand the slokas, but I couldn't understand the explanation. Thank you so much, Mataji. And how this Mayavadi theory came and what was the real purpose of that. And everything you explained so nicely, Mataji. And you said the root, the main thing is the root is Krishna. If you will take care of the root, if you will give water to the root, then all the branches and all the leaves, flowers, fruits, everything will be satisfied. So similarly, we should keep Krishna as the center. That is the main thing. Thank you. And about the demigod worship also, you read that verse of Srila Prabhupada, how Srila Prabhupada is explaining Lord Shiva, Mother Parvati, and Ganesha and Sun God. They all carry the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for your wonderful class.
Thank you, Mataji. And as you said, yes, Guru Maharaj spoke about the same thing today. And yeah, when he was talking about Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and as you said, Mahaprabhu says, I'm understanding all the verses, the Sanskrit verses, everything. I'm not understanding your explanation. And Guru Maharaj said, that means Mahaprabhu knows more than Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So that's the essence of today also, right? The Supreme Lord is the Supreme. All
Yes.
of us.
Here also, after Advaita Acharya saying everything, then Mahaprabhu is Hunkare, means he is saying, real accepting the absolute truth's presence. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. And in the chat also, Priyambada Radha Mataji is saying thank you for the nice session. And Nitu Mataji is also thank you for your wonderful class. Amrita Radhika Mataji is also telling thank you, Mataji. Yasumati Mataji is also saying thank you. We all are very grateful for your nice explanations. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you. Vinita Gandharvika Mataji also. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Vinita Gandharvika Mataji is also writing. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
wonderful seva, Mataji. I
Thank
cannot see
for
any
your
questions. So is it okay, Mataji? With your permission, can we end the call here? Okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for such an enlightening class today. And we will look forward for your association again in the future. Dear devotees, let's pay our obeisances to Mataji and all the devotees. Vancha kalpa tarubhya kripa sindhu Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrindi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Shri
Thank you.
Chaitanya Bhagavatam ki jai. Har Krish
Jai.
Cinmayi Vrajpriya Mataji ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Wonderful
Thank
session.
you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees. Thank you so much, Cinmayi Priya Mataji, Vrajpriya Mataji. Thank you for the wonderful session. Thank you, dear devotees. See you all tomorrow with another session of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Hare Krishna.